asking about best professional accomplishment in your entire vet career.
Oh,
Anything
there's
you
a,
especially proud of?
one of the most gratifying things of my professional life medically was because of circumstances, I wound up being the veterinarian for a horse that was a real contender for the 1980, 81, 82, I started taking care of him, and he was in Connecticut. And through my exposure to the industry, they asked me to come and take care of the horse. There were a lot of other reasons, but anyway, the first time I went there, I thought, oh goodness, I don't know what this is going to turn out to be.
Was the horse in distress of some type?
Well,
what was the issue?
He'd gotten hurt, but not badly, and it was a kind of the political situation of all of the upper class, not upper class, but the upper really good horses. This horse was a really good horse. And the lady that had bought him in Holland, and he was a Dutch warm blood, and she had brought him to the United States, and the people that paid for him and funded her they had decided to sell him, and this fellow that I eventually did the work for found out about it, and he'd kind of been following it. And the horse was a real successful stadium jumper.
And this is Calypso?
Calypso, And so I got hurt hunting. In fact, I got hurt real bad right down here about 1.5 miles. A horse stepped in a hole, broke all the ribs off my back, and hurt me pretty good, and I was convalescing for that. And this young lady that rode the horse, they were developing a breeding program. They came out here and they set up a program at CSU, and they wanted to buy some horses. And they asked me, they asked me if I'd go look at the horses with them, and I did. I didn't think any more about it. Well, later on that summer, they called and asked if I'd come to the farm
in Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going there, and wound up going there every 60 days. And the gentleman that owned the horse said, "We want your wife to come too." So we'd go every 60 days. We did that from then, got ready for the Olympics.
The Olympics were in Los Angeles
in 1984.
You want to tell the story of the Roundup Riders and Steamboat?
Well, yeah, I'll do that, because it was the most exciting thing. I was not going as a veterinarian to the Olympics. I was going to go after the Roundup ride. I was going to go out there and watch and just be a spectator. And it'd been a drama getting all of the horses chosen, and the horse was not the most popular. The owner was not the most popular one in the whole situation.
I'm sure there's some politics involved.
There was some politics in there. And so during the events where they chose the team, I would be there, and I was you can imagine a veterinarian from Colorado that probably didn't know how to spell jumping horse in their eyes. And I was looking after him and looking after their interest from a medical standpoint. And it was up and down, up and down. And finally they named him to the team, and then that's when I came home. That was in I think it was the really first part of July of '84. I came home and was just getting ready, and the horses then went from their farms to Gladstone, New Jersey, and got ready, and then they flew them out to Los Angeles. And for some reason I called on Monday of the week, this was the third week in July. I called just to see if everything had turned out, and they said, well, we're all set, we're going to load the horses, we're going to get them shod tomorrow, and then we're going to load the horses and go to Los Angeles. So then on Thursday, I was up there in the mountains, riding down a mountain trail, and we just had gotten down to a county road.
This is in Steamboat with the Roundup Riders.
Steamboat.
I'm going to ask you about that later, too.
Yeah, and the forest ranger truck was coming down the road, and he kept coming, and I had a strange feeling. I thought, I wonder why he's coming back here, because the veterinarians stay in the back of the ride. He got down there and he said, I'm looking for a fellow named Dr. Beeman. I said, well, that's me. He said, I have a message, a serious message for you. And I thought, oh my, something's happened to somebody.
Somebody died.
Yeah. He said, your office has called the emergency number, and they said to tell you that Calypso's in Los Angeles, and he's really crippled, and they want you there now. And said, oh, by the way...
You're in a wilderness area.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the secretary said they wanted you to know that when they talked to Melanie Smith that she was crying. So it's pretty important that you go. And so I said, well, and he said, there's a private plane sitting in the airport in Steamboat Springs ready to take you to Denver to get you on an airline and take you to Los Angeles. I said, really? And he said, yeah, that's what they said. So
you went.
So I galloped my horse into camp and gave it to the wrangler and got a ride to the airport. And I thought the trip wasn't going to last too long because it was in July in a single engine private chartered airplane, and we flew all around the Thunderheads and that little plane jumping up and down. And I thought, got to Denver and got on an airplane, and I was in Los Angeles that night, and was able, with a lot of help from a lot of people, to get him so he could jump to see if he was capable of doing it. And every day they'd ask me, well, what you doing to that horse? And the medication that I used, I drug tested him so that I knew what levels were acceptable. And
did you even have your own hoof tester with you?
Not then, no.
Because of the circumstances?
Yeah. There was a wonderful veterinarian they had veterinarians there to practice. Each team had their veterinarian. And the team veterinarian there was a fellow that I knew really well, and he was a really nice guy. And Marty Martin was his name, really a nice guy. And then there was a practice, they had local veterinarians there, and he had hoof testers, and I was able to use his. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we doctored on him and went through all of the things to see if he's going to make it. And every day they'd say, well, is your horse okay? And finally they were wanting to put him on the alternate list. And finally we kind of had to come to a meeting and say, now wait a minute, we're going to call this pretty fair and square, because if he's not ready to go, I'll tell you. If he is, I'll tell you. And I said, you've got 4 other horses that you better be sure of that too. And I knew there were some issues with some of those. Well, anyway, make a long story short, he then was named, but he wasn't named to the team until the Monday before the games. I think were on Thursday. And they kept oscillating back and forth. And then when we knew how much medication, legal medication he had, the anti-inflammatories. We'd gotten him over the top. Well, to start with, we had to get him so he could jump, or he was going on the alternate list 2 weeks before.
You'd have to test him to see if he could jump.
Yeah, and he made that. In fact, there were 97 horses. They had what they called the friendly competition. Mm-hmm. There were 97 horses. That meant every horse that had come to the Olympics from all over the world could jump. And Melanie came to me and she said, Dr. Beeman, he has to jump good tomorrow or we're going to go on the alternate list. Well, he got second out of the 97. He got beat 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And they still didn't say he was on the team. Yeah. They waited till Monday. That was
Politics,
on.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then Monday, and so then I'd done a physical examination on the horse that was supposed to win the Olympics. He was from Canada, and during that examination we found that he had a significant heart murmur, and so my client didn't buy him. for that reason. And he was on the Canadian team, and I think they were in the rotation were going fourth, and the United States team was 10th in the rotation to go, and this horse, the last 4 jumps were offset quite a little bit, and this horse just ran out of gas. The Canadian horse did, and knocked 2 or 3 of those down. And Calypso had gotten anemic, and I was nervous about that. I thought, oh my goodness. In fact, I got so nervous. This is a side box, but it's part of the story. I was down in the warm-up area before Calypso went, and I had a suit and tie on, and I was watching him, and he just was spectacular. In fact, he jumped one rail that was 6 inches higher than I was tall. Mm-hmm. So it was right at 6 feet.
That's quite a jump.
And just one rail, all he had to do was put his head down and run under. And the trainer said, well, he's ready to go, which was a famous trainer named George Morris, helping Melanie at that time. Well, I then went in and sat down in the seats in the stands, and it was hot, and I was so nervous. I was sweating so badly. The owner's wife turned around and says, what have you people done to Marvin? He's going to die. I thought I was too. I was so nervous, I thought I'm going to get underneath the table. Well, anyway, our horse was anchor horse, because at that time he was the leading money-winning horse in the stadium.
Competition. Right?
In the world. And so it got to be his turn, and he went around clean and started down that line, and I thought, oh my goodness, he's going to run out of gas. And when he landed, had a clean round, and we knew we'd won the gold medal.
No one else was clean?
No, not as clean as we were, yeah. And there were 75,000 people in the stands. There must have been 35,000 American flags. Mm-hmm. And it was the most exciting day of my life.
What did Melanie say to you afterwards?
Oh, I have a picture that she signed. She said, and it's a picture of them on the podium getting their gold medal, and a picture of Calypso jumping. And she said, we couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah.
So,
That's a nice story.
yeah.